Hi everybody. I just thought I'd come on. It's going to be a bit of a chatty vlog, and it's like post-operation on my eye, just to tell you what's going on. It is now day 14, so tomorrow is 2 weeks since I had an eye operation on my right eye, and I really didn't expect to be able to come on and do this, but I fully expected it to be about 4 or 5 weeks, but everything seems to have gone fairly well. So you might see that I have a lens in this one on the left eye. I don't have a lens in the right eye, and that is to do with the operation. So look at that horrible neck. Anyway, just to tell you what's been going on, excuse me, I had an operation. If you go back a few vlogs, you will see me talk about exactly what they were going to do and why it happened, so I'll quickly recap that. About 18 months ago, I went to the optician just for a normal eye test, and they told me that he couldn't give me any glasses because there was some kind of gel in, I don't quite know where it was, whether it was behind the lens or whatever, but there was some gel. It wasn't a cataract from what he said, it was just gel forming that looked like crinkled up cling film, and it could be just vacuumed out, but I had to go to the hospital and get that sorted. And the NHS is very, very busy, so it has taken 18 months for me to go, with lots and lots of looking at my eye, lots of tests, lots of drops in my eyes to see so that the eye doesn't dilate. And they're horrible drops, they sting, but I've had quite a few of them. So about a month ago, I saw the surgeon, and he was lovely, and he said, you have this gel which can be removed. You also have the start of a cataract, which I was a bit surprised about, in this eye. They haven't looked at this eye yet. In this eye, the start of a cataract, and he says, so while we're in there, we will remove the gel, and we will also remove the cataract, because pointless doing this operation and then bringing you back in about a year, 18 months, 2 years time to have a cataract done. We might as well just do the whole job now. Once the cataract's gone, it won't come back. So that was brilliant. So I thought, right, that's fine. He then said, and I think while we're in there, we will just totally replace the lens of your eye, which terrified me. And I said, okay, you're going to replace the lens of my eye? That's a bit scary. So he said, yeah, he said, it's a longer operation, and we do sort of cut quite a bit into your eye, and we hoover out everything we need to. That's the cataract and the gel. And then we pop out the lens. And the way he says it, you know, we'll pop it out. I'll pop a new lens in. So there was a lot of then terror from me, but it's going to be done. So that's what they decided they were going to do. And I had an appointment for about 3 weeks later, which was 2 weeks ago, and it scared the living daylights out of me. I did the most fatal thing that you shouldn't do. I went on the internet and looked at why it was being done and how they do it. There was quite a lot of them saying that you are injected, and some that said they just drop while the operation is going on, anaesthetic into your eye so that you don't see anything. They also told me that I wouldn't see anything of the operation. I would just it would be like shadows, dark light, you know, black and white. So that was okay, that was fine. But there was also one that said, you know, you get an injection in your eye. That was the terrifying bit for me. I'm not usually a wimp. I've had 3 children. I've had a hysterectomy. I was never frightened of any of them. But this, terrified. Absolutely terrified. So my daughter came over. She came over on the Thursday night with my grandson. My granddaughter stayed with a friend. We were let down by somebody who was going to look after Adam for the day so that my daughter could be with me, but we were let down. So there was nothing else she could do but to drop me off at the hospital, but it actually worked out even better, because she would have been hanging around. I wasn't hanging around that long, but she would have just been hanging around So I was told while I was there that a cataract operation takes between 10 and 15 minutes. The operation I was going to have was nearly an hour. It's usually 45 minutes to an hour. So it was quite a long operation and quite a delicate operation. And I know there's going to be people out there watching this who's gone through this operation like a breeze. And I salute you, because I'm a wimp. I must be, because I was scared to death. Anyway, my daughter dropped me off. When she dropped me off, I could see the worry in her face. I'm sure she could see the worry in mine. She so desperately wanted to be with me. She knew that she couldn't be in the operating theatre, but the knowledge that I knew she was out there waiting would have been really nice, but I had to do it on my own, so I did. So I got there, and there was only 3 other people there waiting, which surprised me, because when you go for the tests, there is hundreds of people there hanging about, and you know, a lot of them are my age group, cataracts and stuff like that. There is some young ones as well. And it's manic, and you're there for 3 or 4 hours. But I went at the time that I should have been there. I had to be there for about 7:45, 8 o'clock times. I got there about 10 to 8. I'd been told to take dressing gown, slippers, stuff like that. I presumed that was just in case I would have to stay overnight. I didn't even know if that was going to happen. And I felt quite silly, because everybody just had a handbag with them, or a bag, or was a man in there just had his paper. I didn't quite understand why I had to have all these things. I had this big bag, and I had my tablet with me, I had my phone, I had some money but not much, just in case. I didn't know what was going to happen. Got in there was the most loveliest staff nurse, and she sort of checked me in, checked my name, checked my date of birth. She was very attentive and funny, very funny, chubby, lovely, everything you want from a nurse, you know, reassuring. And took me straight into a side room and put some drops in my eyes. These are the stingy drops that stop your eye dilating. So I thought they must be getting ready, because that takes about half an hour. So I knew it was going to be the next half an hour. She then came out about 10 minutes later and shouted, "Mr. Simmons." And I went, "I've come for an eye operation, not a sex change." So that was a laugh. That was my, excuse me. I'm not so terrified. When I am scared, I make fun, start to laugh. So that went on most of the time that I was there. You know, I was going for a sex change and not an eye operation. But it's quite funny. It's not so funny now. Took me into the office again, and the surgeon came in, and he then looked in through this telescopy thing. The thing that you have that puffs air and stuff like that. When you have an eye test, he did all that again. Checked that it was the right eye, checked me, my name and my address and my date of birth. And went through what they were going to do, which is exactly what they told me. And I said, "Is it going to hurt?" And he went, "You're not going to feel any of the operation." Note those words. "You're not going to feel any of the operation." Okay, I was happy. I'm thinking, there's not going to be any injection. It's going to be fine. So, excuse me, because I'm looking outside at the same time, the camera. And I'm actually doing this on my phone because it's easier, and I hope it's okay. So everybody was going in and out. About 10 minutes before me, a lady went in, and she was so relaxed. I was so surprised. She was so relaxed. She was like reading the paper, she's talking to her husband. She was brilliant. I didn't see her after that, because I was then called in. The staff nurse took my bag, she took my coat, and she said, "We'll lock it away until you come back, so it's going to be fine." Right. Off I went in there. I had to put a gown on. I wanted to take my shoes off, but they wouldn't let me. "No, it's fine." Took me into the ante-room, the anaesthetic room, and the nurse was there, and she checked. She checked, obviously, my name, date of birth, what eye you were working on. I said, "The right eye." "How's your left eye?" I said, "Absolutely rubbish, because it's a lazy eye, and I can't see virtually anything without the lens." So she said, "Right, so you're going to have a patch on when you come out." So I said, "Yes, you're not going to be able to see too much, are you?" I said, "No." and there's no point in wearing your glasses. You can't get it over because you have a patch and a plastic shield over. I couldn't get my glasses on with it anyway. Anyway, I'm jumping forward. We were chatting, me and the nurse. I had to lay on this bed with my head in like a hood that was attached to the back of, so you can imagine a hood on here, your head had to fit in. And a doctor came in and he was so funny. He chatted all the time, literally chatting and making jokes and stuff like that. And came and stood next to me, checked my eye, popped some drops in my eye. Don't know what these drops were. And he just said, it's fine, some drops in my eye. And I knew he had something in his hand. I knew. And he said, what I'm going to do now is going to be very, very, very uncomfortable. And you're not going to like it. It's going to be really uncomfortable. Are you okay? And the nurse then held my hand. And I thought, they're joking here. He's going to put some more drops in my eyes and it's not going to be that bad. And he's going to say, oh, that's it, it's over. Or he's going to really do something bad. And he said, you ready? And I went, yeah. I was so scared. I was shaking by this point. And he said I needed to keep really still, and he literally injected me in the eyeball, and I've never felt anything so bad. He then injected me like down through the eyeball, downwards, and it was just like the dentist when you're having a filling, and literally you can feel that. I hate that myself, but I can cope with it. But this was sort of in my eye, and I like literally went numb from there to there and the side of my nose. And if you see this mark on the side of my nose, I've had this since the operation. It's not gone away. I have a feeling that when my nose, when I was really numb, I've scratched it and it isn't going away. It will do in time, but I have a feeling that's what happened. From then, everything went numb. But I could still see. I could still see out of this eye. Obviously, not got my glasses on, so everything was a little bit blurred. But I could still see. So then I was taken into the operating theatre, and the operation started. It was freezing in the operating theatre. They wrapped me up. They told me that you would have a cloth over your face and probably a pipe, which was just giving you oxygen, only slightly, basically because a lot of people get claustrophobic and they like to feel the air on the face, so that's why they do it. You don't actually need it. And what they put over wasn't a cloth, it was like a big rubber thing that felt more built up at this side, and I think he could actually lean on that while he was working on this eye. Obviously it can be spun round, and then it went into cloth like here, and the pipe was somewhere sort of here. And at this point I could still see everything, and I was terrified. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel anything from here to here, but I didn't know if my eye was numb. I just didn't, because you don't feel your eye unless you've got eye ache or strain or something like that. You don't. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to feel everything because I can see everything. But once he put this over and he brought down the telescope, everything sort of went like black and white and everything was like very shaded. And he brought the telescope down and that was just a pure light. And in this position, I tried to go to some happy place in my head, which didn't happen. I tried to think about maybe a new house or winning the lottery or anything that would take my mind off what was going on. And I was literally, had my hands on my chest with the pipe underneath. I was clinging onto this pipe, trying not to hold it that tight that I stopped the air coming through. I was totally wrapped up in a blanket to keep me warm, and I did get warm, but it was so cold in there. I didn't feel him doing anything. Odd times I felt a bit of pressure, but it was more on this side of the face. Now I realised that he was obviously leaning on this built-up part here. And I was very red round here. Obviously they'd stuck down something across here, and then they use like a separator on your eye to keep your eye open. And probably about 10 minutes into the operation, all I'm seeing is like grey. I didn't even know if my eye was open properly. It was the strangest feeling. I saw this little thing come in. It was like a little tube. And I now know it was the vacuum that sucks out the cataract and whatever, and this gel. And I saw everything. I saw it literally pulling out all the... It was like looking under a microscope. at something being pulled away, and I saw all this gel, and it was like fishing, finding all the bits. There was lots of bits going around in my eye, a bit like having floaters, but they seemed to be in my eye. And then there was a machine going on, a computerised machine, saying something was on, something was off. And he would say, switch on, so and so. So it was obviously a voice-activated thing. I don't know what it was. Every now and again I'd feel a trickle, but they did tell me that the anaesthetic was being dropped into my eye. And if I did feel it, it's only because it was literally just seeping out. Sometimes it's not quite as tight when they tape it around your eye. Every now and again I did feel it, because it was only this part. This part wasn't numb here. The operation did go on a long time. I saw something else come in, this pipe, something else. And then they must have put some dye in my eye, because all of a sudden all I could see was blue swells of like ink going into water, and it was like something from psychedelic from the 60s. It was quite beautiful, actually. I know that sounds crazy, but I was sat there watching it, and I was told not to speak, or if I wanted to speak, to raise my hand underneath the cover so that they could stop and ask me what I wanted. And at this point, I was feeling quite hot. I don't know, I needed air, and I did ask if they could just bring the pipe up a little bit so I could feel the air on my face. I think it was a little bit of panic, to be truthful. Anyway, it was all done. It was over. It was the longest hour of my life. It's the most horrendous thing I've ever been through. And when I came back out, they wouldn't even let me get off the bed. They literally lifted me off one bed onto another, took me into a recovery room. And I was so emotional, I cannot tell you. I don't know if that was shock or whatever. I just wanted to cry. But I didn't, because there was a nurse with me, and she was saying, are you all right? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. You feel dizzy? And I went, not dizzy, just a bit disorientated. That was the only way I could put it. And she kept saying, do you want to stand up? They obviously want to move you along as quickly as possible. I did sit there for about 5 minutes, and she kept coming back saying, are you fine? I said, yeah, I'm fine. And after a few minutes, I was fine. I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry like a baby. But I wasn't going to. And they wanted to check everything was fine, that I was bandaged. I did feel, and I could feel there was a plastic mould over this pad on my eye. So I could, as I explained, I couldn't put my glasses on. And they took me back into the waiting room, but made me sit for about, it must have been half an hour with a cup of coffee, and people cracking jokes and stuff like that. I couldn't really see anything. This left eye is crazy. Couldn't get my glasses on. Didn't know what was going on, particularly. Just sat there in my own little world. And the staff nurse came up. She said, right, we're ready to discharge you. So I said, right. I said, can you ring my daughter? Give her my phone. And she rang my daughter. So I said, it's going to be about 20 minutes before she gets here in the car. And I was up on the first floor, and I said to her, when she does come, can you take me down, because I can't see the numbers on the lift. I can't. I just can't see it. And I felt so stupid. And she went, no, I'll take you down there, don't worry. I just said, will you press the numbers up on me? She went, no, I'll take you down there. I will hand you to your daughter. She said, don't worry about it. So my daughter immediately wanted to well up, cry. Got in the car, and I couldn't speak. And she just said, how was it? And I went, awful, really awful. And can we just go home? I didn't hardly speak. Going home, I did sort of mention that I'd been injected and whatever. And I think that was simply just shock. I got home, I sat on the couch, I sat in my chair for quite a bit. My grandson was running around. Bless him, he didn't understand what had gone on. I ended up going to bed and putting the television on, because I could actually see the television. I couldn't see it, but it was on, it was comfort. And I stayed in bed for quite a while. Came down on the night time, got laid out on the couch, and really tried to watch the television, but more listen to it. And I kept closing my eye. I thought this eye was open. It wasn't. It was taped, literally taped across shut. And it was just very emotional. And I remember saying to my daughter after she'd got the little one to bed, "Can I have a cuddle?" And bursting into tears and saying, I want my mum. That was the first time. I'm 65 years old and I wanted my mum. And I'm sure everybody's been there. I'm sure everybody's been that emotional when you've lost your mum and whatever, and you just want your mum. The following day, I had to go back and have a pressure test took into my eye, just to make sure, because I had a gas bubble in my eye, which I didn't know. I had no idea. So when I went in, they took off the dressing, and literally there I could just see over the top of what would look like black liquid. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? So he then explained to me, you've got a gas bubble in your eye. The gas bubble, oh, forgive me if I get the terms wrong, the gas bubble actually puts pressure holding the eye back and lets it heal quicker. And he said it would be there for a few weeks, could be 4 weeks. So I said, fine, absolutely fine, that's not a problem. I can cope with it. I was given... had to wait to get the drops for my eyes. I was given 3 lots of drops, an antibiotic drop that had to be put in every 2 hours. I had a steroid drops that had to be done every 4 hours, once every 4 hours, and I had the dilating drops which stung like I don't know what. They had to be put in every 4 times a day. So the last 2, the steroid and the stingy drops, had to be done 4 times a day just for 1 week. The 4 times a day of the antibiotic had to be done every 2 hours for the first week. For the second week, 4 times a day. For the third week, 3 times a day. For the 4th week, twice a day. For the 5th week, once a day. And then I could stop. So I knew that these drops were going to go on for 5 weeks. But first off, it was just like every 5 minutes I was having drops put in. It was terrible. And my daughter, at this point, had decided there was no way she was leaving me on my own at home, and she was taking me to York. We'd already talked about it. I wasn't wearing my glasses, and I couldn't see that well. And I have the biggest appreciation for anybody who's blind or had, I wouldn't say hard of hearing, but had not got that much sight, because my heart goes out to you after this experience. How blind people cope, I just don't know. But my daughter and my son-in-law and the 2 grandchildren were wonderful. I stayed there for 8 days, and they were my eyes for the first few days. They fed me, they looked after me. My hair needed washing. My daughter took me to my son-in-law's, his barber, to the salon. She washed my hair, she blow dried it. And I am a very independent person. And I just wanted to be able to see things. I could see my tablet. I could play a game on my tablet, you know, one of these match 3 games. I could see the colours, so I could do that. And because I'm used to playing it, I knew where everything was. I wanted to check my bank on the computer, on my laptop, which is what my daughter did for me, because there's no way I could see anything. I then found out if I leant forwards, this bubble acted like a magnifying glass. This took about 4 days for me to realise this. And I literally, if I held my phone right up, I could look through the bubble and actually read things. So that was amazing. I couldn't actually text anybody, but I could read. So that was brilliant. So I was, you know, looking over and looking down this bubble. For the first week, the pool stayed exactly as it was. It didn't move. It didn't get smaller. It literally did go down a little bit, but not much. And then after the first week of drops, obviously the steroid and the stingy drops stopped, and it suddenly went smaller and smaller and smaller until yesterday, when I got up and it was this tiny little, like a black dot in the bottom of my eye, and within half an hour getting up, it had literally gone. I had a few floaters. So what's it like now? Well, I've got no lens in my eye. I can see perfectly. In fact, I can see so much better. Left eye is obviously the same, and I've still got that lens, because you're not allowed to use the same lens, because obviously your eyesight is going to change. But it's amazing. It's like being given a gift. I'm sorry if this is too chatty or too much information, but it's like being given a gift. I'm actually looking at my neck curtains in the living room, and I knew they had butterflies on, but I didn't know they were so pretty, because my daughter always says, they're so pretty kittens. I didn't realise they were so pretty. And when your eyes are bad and they're gradually going, you don't realise how bad your eyes are. You do when you go and you get glasses, and you probably prescription's gone up a little bit, and you know, you think, oh wow, that's great, but you soon get used to that as well. And I'm sure I'm soon going to get used to this. But I came back on Monday, which was like day 9. Got a train back. It's only an hour's drive, an hour's train ride away, but I got a train because I'm not allowed to drive. Got a train back. I looked down the platform. There's a big clock, and I wouldn't normally be able to see that. And I just turned, oh, it's 11:15, and then suddenly realised, hang on, I've just read that clock. Oh my God. And then I started looking at things, because I hadn't been out of the house. I couldn't look at the snow because I was on these drops that don't let your eyes dilate because it's so bright. My poor daughter and son-in-law was sitting in a room with not so many lights on because of me. I felt really bad about that. The lights were hurting my eyes. Yes, I was looking around the train station, looking at everything on the train, the words, and how stunning everything looked. It's amazing. But I haven't got my close-up vision. So reading text and reading a letter or something like that, I can't do. But I found a way of using the lens that came out of here. If I hold it probably about 6 or 7 inches away, I can read something. I also managed to wash my hair myself without getting any water or soap in my eye. That told me I was ready to look after myself, and to stop putting the strain on my family looking after me. I'm far too independent for that. Thank them immensely, obviously. So I got home, and the house had been empty for 8 days, and it was freezing. And I mean, it was freezing. All the time I was away, we had the really bad snow. So I got in and it was absolutely freezing. I cranked the boiler up to like 30 and kept my coat on until I started to get warm. It took about 6 hours for the house to get warm. I mean properly warm. Lived in warm. And this is what I hate, leaving the house in winter. A few years ago I went to Australia. I left it all February, and they had the really bad snow and everything well, they had really bad cold weather. And it was freezing when I got home. That's why I hate going anywhere in winter, because even 4 days with no heating on, house gets cold. My house is always warm. So that's it. I can't see to read and write, but I can use my lens. I came home. I've been absolutely fine. I'm amazed. I got in the shower and realised how dirty the towels were further up, so that's all been washed and everything now. These are things that I couldn't see. It's just amazing. I'm looking at my living room, and I knew it wanted decorating, but I didn't know how badly it wanted decorating. It desperately wants decorating. So springtime, it's not going to be a spring clean, it's going to be a spring decorate, hopefully. And they say I go back tomorrow for another, just to check everything that is going as it should. They did say probably at week 4 I should be able to go and have another eye test with the optician and get some glasses. I don't feel that I need glasses in this eye for far away vision, because I can see perfectly, or what to me seems perfectly. And but this eye is going to need obviously the same prescription as is in now. I do look a bit crazy because I say I haven't got a lens in here. This one's tinted, this one isn't. It looks a bit mad, but everything's fine. It's done. I swear to God, I hope I never have to go through that same operation. And again, if you're watching this and you've had that operation, you will know what I'm talking about, and you were fine, good on you. I wasn't. I was emotional, and I still feel emotional when I talk about it, which I find really strange. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Not all vlogs are as serious as this, I assure you. Please subscribe. Click it down below to subscribe. Click the little bell, and that will notify you whenever I get a new video out, which hopefully will be coming back to normal as soon as possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.